Today we're going to continue a little bit more learning for Romeo and Juliet Act 2 before we move on to Act 3. So just to warm up, you met two characters in Act 2. You met Juliet's nurse and Friar Lawrence. And today I'm asking you to compare and contrast these two characters. Some of you have already done that to a certain degree in your observations that you already made. One person, and I don't know, I think this made it into a private comment, and I didn't go to see if it made it back into your comments that you were making to each other for your last assignment. But one person said, Friar Lawrence is giving some advice that could be taken in real life. So I thought that was an interesting observation. I don't know if you saw that or not. So these two characters, they do provide for us quite a contrast. And we know that one of our goals in literature this year is to really look at contrast and let contrast inform us. And so who would you seek advice from? And even as I put this down here, I realized, whoops, I probably just gave it away, but I bet I didn't give it away. I bet all of you would choose one over the other in contrasting those two characters. And so on the discussion board post that I plan to create in a few moments today, I want you to use those quotes that you mined as you went along. You showed me whether you used Post-it notes or typed it out. In some way, you made note of certain quotes. I want you in this post to give a quote from, I should have put Friar Lawrence or from the nurse. And I want you to then provide 2 sentences of commentary, or what that means is 2 sentences of further explanation on what the quote reveals about the character. So basically what you're doing here on a discussion board post is this ultimate goal that we have for you in literature, and that you'll need to continue doing next year, and that is you make some sort of claim, and I'm not actually having to make the claim here. I think the claim is kind of understood. Friar Lawrence and the nurse are both functioning as authorities in young people's lives, but their approach is vastly different. Okay, so that would be the claim. We always, in literature, in writing, we want you to make some sort of an authoritative statement, a claim. And then we don't want you to stand on your own 2 feet completely, because that lacks ethos, right? And it also actually lacks logos, because you can't just throw that claim out there without some sort of support. You're going to get your support in this case out of the text. You got your support for your claims in your research papers from authorities. Okay, so I hope you make the connection that this is always the same in writing. We're going to make our claim, we're going to make some sort of a statement, and we are going to go and support it outside of ourselves. Unless you're an expert in some field and can refer to your own research, until then, you're going to get textual evidence of support in some way. And I say textual evidence, it could be, verbal evidence, like if you listen to a speech by an authority and you take that evidence. But anyway, we call it textual evidence. So, and then after you provide the textual evidence, you have to have further commentary of your own. You have to show the connection between your support and your argument by using commentary, by sentences of explanation. So we're just basically today taking that piece of tell me your support, give me your quote, and tell me how that supports what you think about Friar Lawrence or the nurse. I hope that makes sense. Does that make sense? Email me if it does not. All right, now that is really the bulk of your task. I'm going to get into the next part of this lesson, but really it's going to go into next week. And so the goal, though, in the next couple of days here is that you can identify and explain The function of elements of drama such as comic, relief, wit, soliloquy, and aside. And so I need you to know those terms. Those terms now need to make it into your literary notebooks, your literary device notebooks, okay? So I hope I keep throwing that out there, but I'm not always giving you that as a task. I need that to be your task. When you come up with a new term, that's what this year is about, elements of literature. It says it in the name of the class. You need to come away from this year having all of those terms in your minds, in your notebooks, so that you can work with them in the next couple of years, your 10th graders, most of you, so in the next couple of years of literature, so that your teacher next year and the year after doesn't have to necessarily reteach those terms. You just know them and you can actually sort of work with them and respond to literature, understanding them. I hope that makes sense. Okay, so to that end, here are some more terms for drama. An aside is a term used in drama and theater, and that an aside happens when a character's dialogue is spoken but not heard by the other actors on the stage. Guess what, you guys? An aside is, think of it this way, it's when a character comes to the side, literally or figuratively, and talks to us, the audience. It's just between you and the character right now in an aside. Okay? They're useful for giving the audience special information about other characters on stage or the action or the plot. Okay? So they're just useful to kind of like bridge the gap a little bit. And so, oops, that's not supposed to be next. Where is my example? Okay, here's my example. It's on the top of page 378. You could actually look this up and you'll see in the example, literally, if it's an aside, the script writer is going to literally let you know that. You don't have to guess. But you just need to know what it is. It's for you, between you and the actor. And so this is an aside by Romeo to us when he says, in the middle of Juliet's speech, this is the balcony scene, he says, "Shall I hear more or shall I speak at this?" Right? He's asking us, hey guys in the audience, should I start talking to her now or should I hear what else she has to say about me, right? Okay, so indeed he actually lets her go on for a little bit and listen to the rest. So is she there? Yes, but did she hear him? No. And so that's what you need to know about an aside. In the aside, the character is talking to the audience, and if other characters are on the stage, we as the audience need to know that they can't hear him or her, the speaker, the character that's giving the aside. Okay, so that's just sort of something to know. All right, so I hope that makes sense. We're going to move on. I got to think very carefully about which way I need to go here. Get back to the slide. I need it. Okay, a soliloquy is a form of speech in which the character who thinks he is alone is disclosing his innermost thoughts. It's going to be longer than an aside. Think of it like this. This can be your hint. You know what a solo is. Somebody that's singing a solo, or somebody that's going solo, is by himself or herself, right? Now, certain characters might hear this person. Okay, so this time it's not just between you and the audience. It's actually just not between you, the audience, and it's not between anybody on stage. It's this person's talking to himself or talking to herself. We obviously hear these innermost thoughts, and some people on stage sometimes also hear. Okay, but this person is really just talking to himself. Think of it that way, and then whether or not others listen in happens, right? In the aside, though, you'll see people on stage, but they are not supposed to be hearing it. And you can kind of tell, like, they'll act like they can't possibly hear this person speaking out loud. Okay, so that's the difference. I hope that makes sense. I want to move on to one more element in my, it's 9 minutes. Don't check out, okay? We've been learning that 9 minutes is like the checkout time for people. Whoopsers, I just gave it away. Oh well. Comic relief is important in drama and in literature. Comic episodes or characters in a dramatic or literary work that offers more serious sections, that offset more serious sections. That's what comic relief is. Nobody can sit through some text or some drama, some movie, some drama, that is just constant tragedy, right? I mean, nobody can do that. There has to be this moment of relief. Authors know that about humans because they're humans too, and so they build that relief in that you just have a second, even if you're dragged back into all the drama and the sadness. And so that, and I don't know, Romeo and Juliet's tragedy. Remember that a tragedy this isn't probably the most despairing anyway, right? But it just kind of takes us away from the seriousness anyway, like of the piece, okay? But I mean, I guess what I'm saying is you will encounter comic relief in far more emotionally dragging pieces, okay? Like works, like movies and plays that are they just have you down. It's just difficult to get through them. And then there's this comic relief. Who's the comic relief that you've met? The nurse. Have a good day. Thank you for listening. We will continue here next time.